Whoa, baby, that game was intense, but the Devils escaped by the skin of their teeth. Normally, I don't like using the L word, but the Devils got lucky. But sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, and sometimes it's good to be lucky. We have a lot to break down in today's episode of Locked On Devils, and I am coming to you live from the press box here at Climate Pledge Arena. Buckle up, everybody.
You're Locked On Devils, your daily podcast on the New Jersey Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, this is Bryce Salvador, and you're Locked On Devils with Trey Matthews.
Scores! Oh, Steven stepped up, nailed it. Brodor's got the puck. What a shot. The Devils win the Stanley Cup.
Alrighty now, what is up, New Jersey? Welcome back to the Locked On Devils podcast here on the Locked On Network. I'm your host, college hockey play-by-play announcer, Devils writer for Pucks and Pitchforks, and also part-time credential media member, Trey Matthews. I am coming to you live from Climate Pledge Arena. I am in Emerald City, Seattle, Washington, baby, and I saw the game up close and personal. Now, before I share my thoughts on the game and also play some sound bites throughout the course of this episode, I first wanted to tell you guys what I did when I first landed in Seattle. So as soon as I got off my airplane, I ordered my Uber and I went straight to the Kraken Community Iceplex to witness the Kraken do their morning skate because I was on a mission. So I think one of the biggest talking points amongst the Devils discourse is that it seems like a lot more teams are preparing for the Devils because last year they were an underdog team, but this year they're no longer underrated. A lot of teams know how to prepare for them a little better because people like Jack Hughes aren't really taking the league by storm anymore because he's no longer this where did he come from type of player. He is now a player you have to meticulously scout or you're going to get burned. Now, I wrote an article on this matter for Pucks and Pitchforks shortly before puck drop, but I want to share some of the sound bites that I obtained from the Seattle Kraken's locker room during their morning skate. So basically, I asked Dave Hakstol, the head coach for the Kraken, and also Oliver Bjorkstrand, what changes when you scout for the Devils? Like, is there anything that is different in their overall approach? Because once again, it seems like a lot of people are speculating that teams are better prepared for the Devils, and that might be true, but I wanted to hear it from the opposing team. Now, keep in mind, the Kraken have had their fair share of struggles as well because last year they were a playoff team, and now they're barely making ends meet in the Pacific Division. You got the Vegas Golden Knights, you got the LA Kings, you got the Vancouver Canucks, and once more, the Kraken are just trying to claw their way back up the Pacific Division, but it's an uphill battle. But I still wanted to get the opinion of the opposing team. So before we talk about the game, here's what Dave Hakstol and longtime former Columbus Blue Jacket Oliver Bjorkstrand had to say about preparation for the Devils. You're obviously a veteran player. You've been around the block before. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Like, going into this matchup against the New Jersey Devils, how do you guys prepare for it this season compared to last year? Because last year, no one anticipated for them to be that good, but now they're no longer the underdog. So how do you guys prepare for it a little bit better this time around?
You obviously got to be ready for these to play them now. They obviously have a lot of good players, a lot of skill. They take advantage of time and space. So I think when you play them now, you really got to focus on playing them close, winning those battles and not letting them win the one-on-ones. If you give them time and space, I think that's when they really take advantage of you, and you can obviously see they score a lot of nice goals. So really just comes down to being ready and not be ready from the beginning.
Last year, the New Jersey Devils were one of the biggest surprises in the NHL, and this year it seems like teams have started to figure them out a little bit more. I'm curious to hear your perspective as to how you guys prepare for the Devils. Like, what's the mindset and also any change of overall structure of how to prepare for this Devils team?
No change of structure. I mean, the first thing you have to do is respect their speed and their skill. The pace of their game is as good as any team in the National Hockey League, so you have to be ready and prepared for that. There's going to be some keys that are within our game that we want to use to be able to defend and make sure that they don't have the puck as much as they want to. And then, for us, it's really more of a look inside at our own game and making sure that, we're doing the things with the puck that we want to do. So ton of respect for their group over there. They've grown up, and you said maybe they were a surprise last year. I don't know that they were a real surprise, but certainly they elevated. And as I said, they're in my opinion, one of the top teams in terms of the speed and ability and the way they attack.
Are there any specific adjustments you guys are going to make to try to exploit them to capitalize on some of their blunders or something like that?
No, I mean, our game is a lot about transitioning, a lot about exiting the zone and being clean and getting up ice quickly. So none of that changes.
So basically what Bjorkstrand and Hakstol were lecturing was that the Devils have speed to burn. They're one of the fastest team in the league, and that's proven in their goal scoring ability. But I think the main problem that the Devils have is obviously their defense, which we'll talk a little bit more later in the episode, because at some points they did leave Akira Schmid out to dry. But when I look at the first, second, and third period, I think it was very clear who the more dominant team was, at least from an analytical standpoint. And that has to be the Seattle Kraken, because they were generating a lot of great looks on Akira Schmid. And once again, the Devils had to rely on him. He had the hot hand to basically diffuse any attack from the Kraken. So I would say early on in period one, both teams were pretty even in terms of their execution, because the Devils were competing neck and neck with the Kraken in takeaways and blocks. However, once more, they were not generating enough shots on Philip Grubauer. And when they went onto the power play, the Kraken weren't giving them an inch of breathing room. So the Devils had 3 power play opportunities in this game, and they didn't look as dominant in recent performances. And once again, that goes back to what Bjorkstrand was saying, which was you got to try to win those one-on-one battles. You got to try to make sure that they're not given an inch of breathing room. And that's exactly what the Kraken executed. And as a result, the Kraken were the more dominant team, at least from an analytical standpoint. But a win is a win. And one of the things I was complaining about in the previous episode was that the Devils got off to a big lead, but they blew it and they shot themselves in the foot. So this game was a change of pace, and I honestly think that this was a better win compared to their previous victory against the Canucks. So I will definitely take this sort of victory any day of the week, because the Devils did play hard, especially their goalie, Akira Schmid. So we'll talk about Akira Schmid in the second segment, because as you guys know, after every post-game recap win, I love to give my 3 stars of the game, and I think we know who deserves the first star. But let's talk about the Nico Hischier line alongside with Jesper, Bratt, and Ondrej Palat. So I know Jack Hughes has been incredible this year, but I put it on my social media page. I said the heart and soul of this team is that captain line that is centered by Nico Hischier, because Hischier got an assist this game. It was on Ondrej Palat's goal. Now, albeit I think Ondrej Palat did steal the goal from Jesper Bratt, but that's neither here or there. Ondrej Palat ended up scoring off of Nico Hischier's initial zone entry feed, and John Marino passed it over to Palat, and I guess Palat tipped it on in, so it was 1-0 Devils. And then later on in the game, Simon Nemec, welcome to the NHL officially. I know he already had his first point going into this matchup. However, he got his first career goal, and it was the game-winning goal that put the Devils up 2-1. But the one thing I want to factor in is that Jesper Bratt, he had a beauty of a pass towards Nemec. So Bratt walked away with the point. Hischier walked away with the point. Palat walked away with the point. I would say that that line has been very entertaining to watch the last few games. And obviously the leader of that line is Nico Hischier. And it goes to show you how important Hischier's impact is, because I think that line has been very physical. I think they've been setting the tone offensively. And it seems like all 3 players have good camaraderie with one another. So the fact that all 3 of them walked away with a point, once again, it just goes to show that that line has been my favorite combo to watch the last few games. Now, I had the chance to ask Ondrej Palat post-game to basically provide his perspective as to how Hischier, Bratt, and himself formed that camaraderie, because once again, they are anchoring the Devils' offense the last few days, both from an aggression standpoint and also a scoring standpoint. Here's what he had to tell me. Ondrej, you walked away with a point. Hischier walked away with a point. Bratt walked away with a point. Seems like you guys have been forming some great chemistry with one another. Can you just describe the camaraderie you guys have been having the last few games? Because it seems like you guys have really been pushing the Devils' offensive flow at times.
Yeah, I mean, we don't try to do anything special. We're just trying to work hard, one for the other, and play honest game, and it's pretty easy with Nico and Bratt.
So no disrespect to Jack Hughes or anyone else who's been performing really well. But once more, I just think that the heart and soul of this Devils team is that captain line that is led by Nico Hischier. Now, we're going to transition to my 3 stars of the game momentarily. But before we continue, I want to tell you guys about FanDuel. So right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better place to get in on the action. The app is easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over and unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. All right, so like I do with every post-game recap victory, let's look at my 3 stars of the game. So my 3rd star has to go to Simon Nemec because Nemec has been putting in the work for the Devils the last few games, because I was a little fickety about him basically taking the role of Dougie Hamilton, but he is right now a point-per-game player. He has appeared in 3 games. He obviously got a goal in this matchup, so now he bumped his total up to 3 points. And I think the thing about Nemec is that he looks really comfortable out there, and Lindy Ruff knows it, and Lindy Ruff has been trusting him in big game moments. So in period 3, we saw Simon Nemec on the penalty kill. Now, the Devils' penalty kill is not all that good. They don't really have that many options to turn to, but the fact that Lindy Ruff was giving Simon Nemec those chances and once again playing some big minutes, it goes to show you how much trust he had in that rookie. And also Nemec, just from an offensive standpoint, I think he and Luke Hughes can definitely take the league by storm. So Simon Nemec, once again, just a few NHL games, but he's on the power play. He's on the penalty kill. He's playing in big game moments. He got the game-winning goal. He definitely deserves my 3rd star recognition. And I had the chance to ask Nemec, like, how he's been fitting into the Devils these last few games and how he hopes to fit in going forward. Here's what he had to tell me.
Simon, the goal itself was great, but you were playing big minutes. You were also on special teams, the penalty kill to be exact. So how have you been able to mesh so well with this team rather quickly?
Yeah, it's good for me to play big minutes. I didn't expect it. But yeah, it's so good. The coaches, they trust me, and yeah, I feel good in this role, and I try to do my best.
How do you hope your role will be with this team moving forward?
I hope stay here for next week's months. We will see what happens.
My 2nd star of the game. This player deserves a lot of credit and a lot of recognition. And I know a lot of people like to troll him for his contract. And yes, he's a bit overpaid, but trust me, he's been making an impact for the Devils the last few games, and that is Ondrej Palat. He's one of the reasons why that Nico Hischier line is forming so well, because we already know that Nico and Jesper have some established chemistry, but Ondrej is sort of like the glue piece. He is the veteran leader that both of them can rely on, and he's holding it together in a sense. And I think it's safe to say that Ondrej looks way more comfortable this season with the Devils compared to last year. Obviously, last year, he had to deal with his groin injury, which sidelined him for a few months, so he wasn't able to really get back to 100%. Sometimes he was there, sometimes he wasn't. We saw him step up his game in round 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs against the New York Rangers, but some people still weren't convinced about his impact. And I said before the start of the season, I anticipated a bounce back season from Mr. Ondrej Palat. And if you don't believe me, according to AR Hockey Stats on the X app, they said that his offensive impact rated an 82, his defensive impact 98. Penalties taken, 84. So his offense is ranked 64, which is pretty decent, but his defense is highly ranked, which gives him an overall grade of 87, once again, courtesy of AR Hockey Stats on the X app. And I had the chance to ask Ondrej as well post-game, like, how is he fitting in better with the Devils compared to last year? Here was his perspective.
How has your offensive game developed compared to last year? Because it seems like you're a lot more comfortable with the Devils roster.
Yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with the way we play with our D zone and everything. So yeah, I feel good, and I'm glad.
So once again, I know a lot of people have been clowning Ondrej for his contract, but quite honestly, he's been one of the more consistent pieces for the Devils this season. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for how he has improved his game and how he's meshed well on the top six for the Devils, because he's been a huge X factor piece, and he scored the opening goal once more in this game. And his point production has been solid the last few games as well. So I still believe he swiped away Jesper Bratt's goal, but a goal is a goal, and it goes into the score sheet credited to Ondrej Palat. So Palat is my second star of the game. My first star, Akira Schmid, and it's a no-doubter because the third period was going to be a true test for the Devils. So here's a fun fact for you guys. Going into this game, the Kraken, while trailing after the second period, have a record of 0-10-1. They worsened that record to 0-11-1. And it goes back to a point that I made after my Flyers post-game recap, which was when the Flyers let up the first goal of the game, they end up losing. They didn't have a win in that category. So it goes back to that point in which I told the Devils, which is like, look, you don't want to be the first team to break that streak because that could be very demoralizing. So the Devils basically relied a lot on Akira Schmid, and he was seeing grade A chance after grade A chance because, once again, from an analytical standpoint, the Seattle Kraken deserved to win this game. They did everything correctly in period 3 aside from scoring, because what I saw, especially when they went on their power play, when Brendan Smith got a tripping penalty at the most inopportune time. So once again, just I need to make this point real quick. Brendan Smith was actually having a solid performance, but a little less than halfway done with period 3, he got a tripping penalty and he was benched the rest of the game because Lindy Ruff has said, I'm not having it. And that was a smart move to do. I've been praising Brendan Smith the last few post-game recaps. He's been performing really well, but it seems like he gets penalties at the most inopportune time, and it seems to just like erase all the good he's done. So I wanted to give credit to him in that case, but that was the wrong time to pick up the penalty, and he left his netminder, Akira Schmid, out to dry because it seemed like what the Kraken were trying to do. They were trying to set up Adam Larsson on a lot of one-timer chances. They were trying to go backdoor. They were trying to collapse the Devils' defense, which they were able to do so, but one or two things would happen. Either they would break their play, as in it would just come up unsuccessful and they would whiff at the puck, or Akira Schmid would make a point-blank save and rob them. So Akira Schmid, he should be the go-to goalie moving forward. So he let up one goal, but that was not his fault, because what had happened in the second period was that Ty Cartier, he was able to capitalize on a Devils turnover and also a failed clear attempt, and he scored it on Akira Schmid with ease. Once more, that was on the defense by the Devils. So Akira Schmid, he saw 38 shots and he saved 37 of them. That is a good performance. Now, I had the chance to speak with Akira post-game. Here's what he had to say about his team's overall effort in front of him and how satisfied he was with his personal performance.
It was weathering the storm there, 17-3 shot advantage for Seattle. What were you doing so well in that third period, and what was the defense in front of you doing so well to keep them from scoring?
I think we did make some timely block shots. Most shots came from the outside, and once they got to the inside, I think our Ds did a good job, getting underneath sticks or clearing rebounds.
You were able to have a really strong night. The whole team able to defend a lead for over 30 minutes. What are some of the elements that went into defending that lead, something this group has worked on?
Just getting pucks deep. If we're coming back, stop in front of the net, find your guy. Playing hard, go for a check, make finish plays, hit bodies and stuff like that.
It's a couple of wins in a row. It's also, I think, 5 out of 6 at this point. Does it feel like you guys are coming into your own a little bit now and kind of getting that feel a little bit like this team had last year?
Yeah, I mean, it's just one game, but I think we still need to work on some things to just tidy up. But I think we're trending towards the right direction, but there's still some work to do.
What specific changes would you like to see be made?
I mean, probably just more shots right now. Probably easier breakouts too sometimes. So today was good, but maybe some block shots. But and then from the goalies, just timely saves.
Once more, Akira Schmid, first star of the game. No ands, ifs, or buts about it. He performed really well for New Jersey, And who would have thought that this game would have come down to the goaltending, because it's something that we've been complaining about the last few episodes. So Akira Schmid, he stepped up to the plate and he got this big win for the Devils, because once more, they need to try to generate as much points as they possibly can. And against the Seattle Kraken team that hasn't been all that good this season, they really needed to come away with the 2 points, and they were able to do so. And this game goes to Akira for his strong performance in between the pipes. Now, we're going to hear from Lindy, Ruff, and also I will compare the stats and give the Devils a letter grade momentarily. But before we continue, I want to tell you guys about Jase Medical, because everyone is entitled to protect their family. So I know we come to sports to escape from some of the crazy realities in life, but can we just talk for a minute about preparing in real life? According to the FDA, pharmacies are running out of antibiotics right in the middle of the worst flu season in over a decade. It could definitely be scary, and nobody should feel helpless. So you know what you should do? Visit jasemedical.com and complete your physician encounter. It'll be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It has never been more important to be prepared than right now. So go to jasemedical.com and use the offer code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your order. Okay, so I had the chance to ask Lindy, Ruff post-game, like, what are some of the adjustments that the Devils need to make? Because the third period, it was entertaining. It was wild. It gave me gray hair. My heart rate was through the roof. But let's face it, I'm sure the Devils would have liked to play a much cleaner brand of hockey. But once again, a win is a win. So here's what Lindy, Ruff had to tell me post-game.
What are some of the specific changes you would like to see your team make in order to solidify the win in more comfortable fashion?
Well, score would make it a little bit more comfortable, play a little bit, probably play a little better in the offensive zone. I think sometimes when you're holding the lead, your tendency is to get a little bit safe, and we might have got a little safe.
It's just weird, because it's just like the previous game we were talking about their defensive collapses, and also Vitek Vanecek not being good in between the pipes. And now we get a strong goalie performance from Akira Schmid. We hadn't really seen that all season. Like, he's had a few good performances, but nothing like tonight, because once more, the Seattle Kraken did everything they could possibly do to try to come away with the victory, and they got 38 shots on Akira. So the once more, on paper, analytics wise, and if you were to look at James Nichols' deserved win-o-meter on the X app, it favors the Kraken by a good majority. I believe the ratio was 60-30 in favor of the Kraken. So the Kraken definitely deserved to win this game, but Akira Schmid, he had other plans. So the one thing the Devils just need to do is just that they need to, like, make sure that they're up for the challenge the entire 60. So you can't leave your netminder out to dry. And if that was a better team, most likely the Devils lose that game. But once more, they got the win, and that's all that matters. So let's compare the stats, give the Devils a letter grade, and get out of here. So shots on goal differential, astonishingly 38-17 in favor of the Kraken. Face-off percentage, 50.9% in favor of the Kraken, 49.1% to the Devils. Devils were 0-for-3 in their power play opportunities. Devils power play wasn't really all that sharp this game, and I think you got to give a lot of credit to the Kraken and their overall strategy, similar to what Bjorkstrand and also Hakstol shared with me during the morning skate. Kraken were 0-for-2 in their power play opportunities. Penalty minutes, 6-4 in favor of the Kraken. Hits, 19-8 in favor of the Kraken. Block shots, 16-11 in favor of the Devils. Once more, it seemed like the Devils were competing neck and neck with the Kraken in certain categories, and I mentioned that block shots and takeaways were one of those categories. So 16 to the Devils, 11 to the Kraken. Once more, takeaways, 11-10 in favor of the Kraken. So if I had to give this game a letter grade for the Devils, I'm going to give them a solid B, because I know that their execution, especially in period 3, it took them a good while to get their first shot on Grubauer, and they only finished with 3 shots the entire third period. But it was still an entertaining game, and these are the type of games that make or break you. And the Devils, they stood tall. They were up for the challenge, and Akira Schmid was very strong. We were waiting for a good outing from one of the Devils' netminders, and it was Akira Schmid who stepped up to the plate. So I'm glad that once more that Akira was just the savior for the Devils in this case. And sometimes you don't need to score 6 goals to win the game. And I think this is what we were waiting for the Devils. Can they score just like 2 goals and come away with the win? So I guess we got what we wanted, and the Devils once more walk away with 2 points, and the Devils now head out to Calgary to continue their Western trip. So let me know what you guys think. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment down below. And if you're listening on a podcast streaming service, hit me up on my personal X page app at TreyMatt4 or the show's X page app at Locked On Devils. As for today's episode, that's all the time I have for you. So continue to stay safe. Have a wonderful day, New Jersey. Go Devils. I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Thanks for listening once again. Trey Matthews signing out from Seattle, Washington, Climate Pledge Arena.